And welcome back to Radio Bellady. I'm Ray Hanania here at WNZK AM 690 Radio. We're opening up the phone lines at 248-557-3300. I don't know. I was a little surprised by I don't know how to describe it. I was a little shocked by the response from the King of Jordan, King Abdullah II, when he was meeting with President Trump. Before the press conference, when he was in the Middle East, the King of Jordan said, we're going to reject this, plan by President Trump to take over Gaza and move the people out of Gaza to Egypt and Jordan. And then when he got in the meeting, it was more like he was submissive to the president. I know that the U.S. gives Jordan, I think, $1.5 billion. They give money to Egypt, too. And Trump is kind of a bully, when it comes to his international policy. But I was a little surprised that King Abdullah kind of said, "You're our hope. You might be the person that can do this." And I'm thinking, wow, okay. It was annoying and disappointing to me. But I don't know how you feel about it. 248-557-3300. I always think that Trump just says stuff to shock people and stir the pot to get things going. I don't believe he's going to take over Gaza. First of all, I don't believe the American people would accept it. I don't think he has the ability to push the people of Gaza out of Gaza to go to Jordan or Egypt. He does have the ability to stop the Israeli carnage and war crimes, and it'll be interesting to see if he does that. Our phone number 248-557-3300. Let's go to Jerry Haba, one of our big followers. Jerry, thank you for holding and calling in. I appreciate it.
And thanks to you, Mr. Ray Hanania. Good morning.
Good morning.
And you a happy Valentine to you, to Ms. Layla Al-Husseini, the founder of the Arab Voice in America, your producer, to all the listeners, a happy Valentine to all of you.
Thank you.
Mr. Ray, thank you. Mr. Ray Hanania, what I try to say over here about what our President Donald J. Trump say. Matter of fact, before anything, Mike, I'm one of the people, the Chaldean, Arab, Middle Eastern, who vote for Donald Trump. And it doesn't mean when I vote for him, I agree with all the executive orders that he gave.
Right.
Some of them, they are positive, and some of them, they are not. But what I try to say over here, Mr. Rehanani, about Gaza strips. Gaza strips, as he said, President Trump take over. But I just want to remind you, Mr. Ray, and you know it, and all the listeners, over 3 decades ago, when the late president of Iraq, Saddam Hussein, invaded the next door country, Kuwait, 33 countries, they came and they attacked him at that time. Look, Mr. Ray, what kind of mixed up in the papers we got. I mean, it's ridiculous. America was the first country who denounced what the late Iraqi president did in Kuwait, that nobody has the right to take over any land belongs to anybody.
Right.
What happened, happened. Now, Mr. President, you are a real estate guy. I know you are a businessman, and I know you are not a politics guy. But who gives you the right to take Gaza? You know, Mr. Ray, if President Trump tried to change Gaza to Riviera of the Middle East, but he forgot one important thing. There is Palestinian roots inside that soil. If we remove all the damaged buildings, those roots, they will grow up again. Think about it, Mr. Ray. There's roots, and those roots, they are the Palestinian people. And those people, they love their land, no matter the damage of the war, but they love to go back to their country. And I'm one of the people, Mr. Ray, who believe there is no such a solution except the 2 states, Israel and Palestine. We don't want to throw Israel in the sea. We just want the Palestinian people to live like any other people enjoy their independence, enjoy their land, and to be treated equal like anybody else. That's my
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. I think, as we all know, it's Israel that has caused the problem. Israel, and I say Israel, I should say Israel's government, because there's a difference between Israel's government and the Israeli people. I think, about half the Israeli people supported the Israeli government and elected them. But it's the Israeli government that is the terrorist entity in the Middle East. They don't want peace. They've been fighting against peace for over 20 years. This guy Netanyahu and his predecessor, really a demon, Ariel Sharon, who had a history of killing civilians over the years in the 1950s when
I
he was
remember
a
the
general. It's a terrible, yeah. Well,
Right.
in Lebanon, that was, yeah, his horrible acts there too. So it's terrible, but there's not much hope. You think there's any hope with Trump? I mean, is he just being dramatic, or do you think these views are actually good?
Mr. Ray, there was a word, famous word in Arabic. They say "الثور" means the axe. When he fell, all the knives they come and try to throw more knives on that animal, on that victim. This is what the President Trump, to me, happened. I mean, Gaza. Mr. President, tried to take advantage of the misery of Gaza, the misery of the Palestinian people, and instead of try to reach to there and stand them up, you try to take over their country. This is
Right.
the land. I mean, they live over there for years and years and years. And when we come to His Majesty, the King of Jordan, King Abdullah II, Mr. Ray, put yourself in his position. This country will live in from the help of the West, especially the United States of America, who they pump to him about over $1.5 billion every year. This leader, he doesn't have no resources. Jordan is not a rich country. Jordan doesn't have oil, doesn't have gas. It's a poor country. So, King Abdullah II, I understand where he came from. Matter of fact, it was very brave when he said to President Trump, I welcome 2,000 children from Gaza to be treated in a Jordanian hospital. That was very nice. But the guy, Mr. Ray, his hands has a cough in his hands, and he doesn't know what to do. I mean, he's in a bad position. He tried to feed his country. He tried to make United States always reach to them. Look, Mr. Ray, back then, 2-3 years ago, when James Baker, the foreign secretary of the state, when he went to Israel, and when the Israeli they were building a more apartment and more things, James Baker didn't like that. He came mad. He came upset, and he told President Bush the senior, "I don't like what the Israeli doing." So President George Bush the senior, he cut the $10 billion from Israel. What happened to President Bush? He lost the election. He lost the election. You remember
Is that because the Arab world is weak and the Arab Americans and Muslims are weak? And I know Chaldeans are not Arabs; they're from the Middle East. But are Chaldeans weak? We have no voice in this argument. We're like all of us are victims. It's just embarrassing to see somebody walk hat in hand, asking for a handout. It's I don't know. I expected more. Are we not the smartest people in the world? We're the wealthiest people in the world, the Arab world. It's just embarrassing. Final thoughts. Go ahead, Jerry. Final thoughts.
Mr. Ray, we are not united. That's why we are in this condition nowadays.
Yes.
Mr. Ray, I want to thank you very much for taking my call.
Oh, of course.
And all right, happy Valentine to you. Happy Valentine, America. Thank you, Mr. Ray.
All right, buddy. You have a good day. Our number here is 248-557-3300. If you want to join in the conversation, what'd you make of King Abdullah's meeting with President Trump? What do you make of President Trump? The other thing is, I keep hearing all these whiny little Democrats, they complain about, oh, um, you're the reason why we have Trump. They point a finger at the Arab and Muslim community here in the U.S. and they blame us. But I really look at them and I blame them. I blame them because it was Biden who was weak. I mean, we know how weak he was because he didn't stand up to Russia at all when Russia invaded the Ukraine. And that was a sign to everybody that the United States was weak. Biden was probably one of our worst presidents. And Kamala Harris was no better. She offered nothing. She pandered to the pro Israel vote here in the U.S. rather than standing up for justice. I personally voted for Jill Stein as a protest vote, knowing that it would help Donald Trump get elected. But, you figure, okay, under Biden, how many people were killed and murdered? We provided the money. This country provided the billions to Israel. Why are we paying Israel? Why do we give them so much of our tax dollars? It's shameful, in my opinion. And it's like they control us. They have influence over us, and we don't stand up to them. They do whatever they want to do. They've killed under Biden with the money that Biden gave and Harris gave Israel, 50, and I think it's more than 55,000 people in Gaza have been killed. They say 55,000, but I think it's far more because the Israelis don't allow independent people to get into Gaza. That's why they've killed something like 90 independent journalists who have tried to go in there and report fairly. If you're not embedded as a journalist and you don't do what the Israelis want, they shoot you. They don't allow you into Gaza. If you get into Gaza without their permission, you become a victim. According to the Committee to Protect Journalists, 80 to 90 journalists have been killed in Gaza, and that's horrible. The destruction is rampant. That was under Biden and Harris. And then they want me to be upset that Trump got elected because I voted for Jill Stein or I voted for Trump or the Arab Americans and Muslims voted for Trump. Why should I feel guilty? The killing has continued. Trump actually has pushed a ceasefire. We couldn't get a ceasefire under Biden. He wouldn't do it. He should have. Excuse me. And while I don't agree with everything that Trump is doing, I certainly don't believe that it's been as bad under Trump as it has been under Biden. I hope it gets better. I'd love to hear your opinion on that. 248-557-3300 here on U.S. Arab Radio. This morning in Detroit on WNZK AM 690 radio. We'll take a break in a few minutes, but if you have something to say, now's the time to say it. Are we that weak, the Arab community? Are we that paupers? We're afraid to talk. We protest and they arrest us in this country. They strip us of our right to free speech under the U.S. Constitution. If you criticize Israel, 33 states, I think, will punish you, including Illinois, although there's an effort in Illinois to repeal the BDS, anti-BDS law, which says that if you boycott Israel, you don't qualify for any funding from the state of Illinois. Those are my tax dollars. They don't have a right to strip me of that. How do we allow this to happen? How is it that all this happens? Is it because of the big bad forces, big bad Israel, the lack of concern from our government in Washington? Or is it us as a community? Maybe we're not doing enough. Are we doing enough? Do you feel we're doing enough? Do you feel you're doing enough? I know a lot of people are ashamed to even address the issue because they don't feel enough is being done. And they don't want to address it. It's a thing that the Arab culture has. This we don't like to acknowledge failure. If we do something wrong, if we're a failure, if we don't do things right, we consider that haram, not the results of not doing it. So we don't want to talk about it. We pretend it doesn't exist. If something bad happens, we love to scream about it, but when it's over, we don't do anything about it. We fight among ourselves. We attack each other. I'm just sitting here. I'm just in awe, just complete shock at what Israel's been allowed to do, and nothing has been done to stop it, not from the Arab world. Although I do appreciate the stand of the Saudis and other governments that have said they will not move forward with any peace accords with Israel until the Palestinians have a state. And that's what the Israelis want. They think they can bully these countries, but Saudi Arabia is strong enough to say no, they're not going to be bullied. And, for all that we criticize, these Arab world countries, I give them credit for not doing it. So, for not surrendering to Israel's policies. I think I'm hoping that the Saudis can do something to change this terrible dynamic. Of course, it's up to the Israelis. And I really fear the future of people who have been so brutalized, who've had children shot. When a sniper shoots somebody, when an Israeli sniper shoots somebody, it's not an accident. The Israeli sniper focuses the gun on the target and then shoots. They don't shoot by accident. So when a 6-year-old child gets shot in the head, it was intentionally done. That some of these Israelis are monsters in the military. They're the biggest monsters in the world today. That they have no respect for life. That they'll take the life of any people. 55,000 people. The blood of 55,000 people are on the hands of the Israelis. I don't know how anybody can sit back and do nothing. But that's partly our fault, right? As an Arab American and Muslim community, we don't know how to communicate. We don't know public relations. We can't counter the Israeli lobby. The Israeli lobby only spends $5 million a year buying our politicians with donations. They buy them. They buy their vote. They get them elected. And those politicians, to keep getting the money from the Israeli lobby, they have to keep supporting Israel's agenda. What? We don't have $5 million a year to counter that lobby? I don't get it. Listen, we're going to take another break here at WNZK AM 690 Radio. If you want to call in, tell me what you think of what Trump is doing. How do you feel when Democrats say it's your fault? Yeah, you out. And they blame Michigan in particular and Detroit. How do you feel about it? I'd like to hear your reaction at 248-557-3300. 248-557-3300. We're broadcasting live on Facebook right now at U.S. Arab Radio, at the U.S. Arab Radio Network. You just look up U.S. Arab Radio, and you can watch us there. And when we're done, if you missed the beginning part of the program, you can listen to it. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue the discussion here at Radio Bellady, WNZK AM 690, 248-557-3300. We'll be right back right after these messages.
A car accident can change your life in an instant. As a result of a car accident, you may become unemployed. As a result of a car accident, you may need a lot of medical treatment. People think that insurance companies are on their side. Why? Because they're giving them one or two benefits. Are they giving them all the benefits they deserve? How would one know unless you consult with an attorney? Call the law offices of Jumana Kiruz at 248-557-3645. 248-557-3645.
Every year in Michigan, approximately 3,000 people die of drug overdose. Today's drugs are more addictive and deadlier than ever before. Most street opioids tested contain a potentially lethal dose of fentanyl. Drug overdoses are preventable. Keeping the Lock Zone on hand. Together, we can change the statistics. Learn how to save lives at michigan.gov/SUD. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Are you going to start a restaurant or a grocery store soon? Do you need floor plans and designs? Call Najee Abood at 734-744-9796. Do you want to buy kitchen and restaurant equipment at discount prices? Call Najee Abood now, 734-744-9796. New Concept Products and Design, the trademark of kitchen equipment. 5% discount on all purchases of $75,000 or more. New concept products and design. New location, 31185 Schoolcraft in Livonia. Learn more at www.newconceptproducts.com. Call Najee Abood, 734-744-9796.
And welcome back to Radio Ballady. This is Ray Hanania. My website is hanania.com. You can read all of my columns. I write 4 or 5 columns every week on local politics in the Chicagoland area, national politics in the U.S., and Middle East politics. You can pick and choose what you want. There's always something there that you may be interested in, I hope. And I always like to hear your views. Our number is 248-557-3300. We had a caller, but hopefully they'll call back if they want. 248-557-3300. When Trump says that he's going to take over Gaza, I can't help but to think that this is part of his stepson's plan. Jason Kushner and his Jared Kushner and his plan to turn the Gaza into a Riviera. That was his idea, when this war started. And I have this fear that they want to clear out Gaza and turn it into like a beach resort. I don't know if I'd want to sit on a beach where there's been so much blood, or go to a hotel and have dinner on top of a new hotel, maybe the Trump Hotel, that's built on the blood of all these massacred human beings. To me, this is a Gaza Holocaust. And it would be like going to some of these concentration camps in Poland and trying to turn that into a tourist attraction, in some enjoyment way, when it should be, the Holocaust should be revered and remembered for the tragedy and the horror that took place, not to have people go there to enjoy it. I want to think the same thing in Gaza, that they need to help rebuild people's lives there. Let's go to the phone lines at 248-557-3300. Ted is back. Thank you, Ted, for waiting and calling back. We appreciate it.
Hello?
Hey, Ted, how are you?
Yes, good morning and happy Valentine's Day.
Thanks, buddy.
I say Valentine, it's not just like for lovers or something. It's for everything. Like, you love your job, you love your neighbor, you love your friends and relatives. So to me, this we love the love, or we celebrate the love. So this is my opinion about Valentine's Day.
All right.
I'll give you my opinion about the King Abdullah visit.
What did you think of that?
Huh?
What did you think of that? How he acted?
I think of it. It was okay, but I watch YouTube and channels here and there. Some of Arab, they are low life, low self-esteem. They were putting down Trump as saying that he did not respect King Abdullah and stuff like that. They just look for excuses. Some Arab people, and they have program on YouTube and all that. They saw low self-esteem. They're making a big deal out of a small conversation.
Was it a small conversation? I mean, this is the King of Jordan, who Trump said he wanted to send all these refugees from Gaza to Jordan and Egypt. And Jordan was very, King Abdullah was very strong in saying that, we're not going to take it. And I'm going to tell him that. But then when he went there, he never said that. He never said the words that he said when he spoke to the Arab community in Arabic. He never said that. When he got to the White House, it was like he was submissive. Don't you think, his hat in hand and praising Trump as the greatest thing to ever happen to peace? I was really kind of shocked. Don't you think if somebody beat up your family that you'd want them a lawyer at least, right? to stand up in court and defend, your family against them. I don't know. I mean, I know a lot of people were hesitant to criticize our government leaders. But I was just
I
surprised. I was very surprised. Why go to the meeting
think
and be
I
embarrassed like that?
I don't think the visit was as bad as they are showing it on YouTube, some programs saying that Trump did not respect him. It just, they are low life. These,
I
some of
get it.
Arab.
So you think the critics are lowlifes for
Let me tell you,
criticizing him?
let me, let me tell you this. King Abdullah, he has some kind of infection or allergic to something that he is blinking his eye. It's not a big deal.
Right.
We all do that. We all do that.
Right. No, I was more interested in what he was saying. I wasn't looking at him, that way. But do you think what he said was strong enough, that he was a strong leader?
I tell you, I think he's a strong leader, and I think
Right.
the Hashimi family is the best family over there, and the Arab and Muslim. Not for the
All
Christian,
right.
for the Arab and Muslim. I think they are a good family and everything, and there was no reason for this low self-esteem to say that Trump disrespect him. That's
Okay.
all I want to say. Thank you.
No, I appreciate it, Ted. Thank you for sharing your opinion. I really appreciate it. Thank you. 248-557-3300 is our number if you want to call in and tell us what you think. It was so nice, by the way, to hear Jemana K. Ruz's ad on the radio. She's such a phenomenal lawyer. And I've worked with her in the past. I was going to try to work with her this time, but I'm so wrapped up in elections in Chicago. There are a lot of elections here in Chicago, all the way through April. It's killing me. There's just too much because I'm a writer and I do a lot of media relations. Um, and I work with a lot. And this weekend, for example, on Sunday in Chicago, actually in Bridgeview, Illinois, they call it Little Palestine. Sunday at Nico's Restaurant, the Arab American Democracy Coalition, AADC, which used to be the Arab American Democratic Club, but they changed the name from the Democratic Club to the Democracy Coalition, will have their annual forum and brunch where they have all the regional elected officials, Abdul Nasser Rashid, who's a state representative here, Mike Porfirio, mayors Chris Getty, Steve Landek, and a lot of them, Mayor Basta, Mary Basta. She's one of the only Egyptian mayors that I know of in this area from Bolingbrook, Illinois. She'll be there speaking. And it's going to be interesting to see, this empowerment. This is one of the only organizations in the Chicagoland and Northern Illinois area that speaks to the rights of Arab Americans. You go to ArabDemocraticClub.com if you want to get information on it to see who the speakers are, the advertisers. I mean, they got a big group of people coming out there, probably be 500, talking about politics and what we can do to stand up to bigotry and hatred. But I'd like to hear what you think of President Trump. Now, personally, I've covered Trump, and I think that it's a matter of understanding how he acts. You don't have to agree with everything he says. But one of the problems I think in the Arab community is we overreact to his incitement because I think that's what he does. He shoots from the hip. He says shocking things. He wants to shock you. And the reason that's a political style. He's not the only one that does it. There are a lot of politicians that do it. I don't agree with everything that Trump does. I agree with some of the stuff that he does. But his handling of the Middle East, I think that it goes beyond his shocking statements. I really don't believe he's going to move the people of Gaza out of Gaza. I don't think he's going to turn it into the Riviera of the Mediterranean. I think that what he's trying to do is leverage position over Benjamin Netanyahu, who is the terrorist leader of Israel's government, to get him to stop. And he can't do it by fighting. He doesn't have the strength. Trump doesn't have the strength or the backing to stop Israel. Israel is probably the most powerful nation in the world today. And people are afraid to stand up to him. And I think President Trump is afraid to stand up to Netanyahu. And rather than fight with Trump, the Arabs, you don't have to accept what Trump says, but you go meet with him and you tell him why he's wrong. That's what American politics is about. If you don't understand American politics, then quit complaining about it. I'm sorry, American politics, there's no such thing as 100%. If a politician and you agree on 70% of the issues, that's a passing grade in our school system. 70, 80% is huge. And there's 20% you disagree with, you still work with the person. You get them to change their mind. It's called compromise. That's a word that I think the Arab community needs to understand more. Compromise. Compromise gets you where you want to go and gets you there faster than stubborn emotion and anger. I'm Ray Hanania. Our number is 248-557-3300. If you want to call in and talk about Trump's Gaza plan, you want to talk about how you viewed King Abdullah's appearance with Trump, were you disappointed? Any questions you have, or maybe a perspective about the Middle East that I haven't brought up, I'd love to hear it. 248-557-3300. I'm Ray Hanania. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back right after these messages.
ArabNews.com, bringing you breaking news from across the Middle East and the latest on Arabs in America. Get inside the latest headlines with expert analysis and insights at ArabNews.com. Join over 5 million Facebook fans and over 10 million monthly readers. ArabNews.com, news that matters to you.
Michigan's winter forecast is snow, snow, and more snow. And for a little variety, ice. Since that means slippery roads, stay safe by following these driving tips. Don't use cruise control on ice and snow. Use turn signals sooner to give others more time to react. Keep your car's fluids, tires, and wipers well maintained. And most important of all, drive slow on ice and snow. A message from the Michigan Office of Highway Safety Planning.
With more than 30,000 successful in vitro fertilizations, IVF Michigan is now ranked as one of America's best fertility clinics according to Newsweek magazine. IVF Michigan fertility centers are the recognized leaders in high-quality fertility care. With locations in Bloomfield Hills and 9 other cities in Michigan and Ohio, IVF has experts in all aspects of the field. A founding member, American board-certified Dr. Nicholas Shama, is one of the leading reproductive endocrinologists in Michigan and Ohio. He has performed over 20,000 successful IVF cases, and it's helped thousands of couples fulfill their dreams of parenthood. When it's time to get personalized care from Dr. Nicholas Shama at one of America's best fertility clinics, call IVF Michigan Fertility Centers in Michigan and Ohio toll-free at 855-952-9600. 855-952-9600.
And welcome back to Radio Bellady. It's Friday, February 14, 2025. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. To Layla, Jumana, and all the other people that I know out there in Michigan, and to everybody here, my wife and my daughter. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. We've been talking. Earlier we spoke with Vicki Robb, who is the National International Programs Director for Life Relief and Development, about all the work they do in Gaza. She gave us kind of an overview of what they do, and they do a lot of good stuff, and you want to support them if you can. If you want to call in and talk about, and share, sometimes it helps to get it off your chest, how you feel about what's happening in the Middle East. The mainstream media ignores us. As you know, they don't give us a voice to express ourselves. So we have all this pent-up anger, these feelings that we have. Let's go right to the phones at 248-557-3300 and welcome Adil. How are you, Adil? Thank you so much for calling.
Yeah, thank you, Ray, for the great program. Can you hear me well?
Yes. Oh, yeah, you're good. Coming in loud and clear.
Oh, great. Awesome.
So what do you make? What do you
I know
think?
a lot of people have criticized the King of Jordan for his handling of the situation in D.C. with President Trump. And I see it justified from the first look. But actually, if you watch the tape a few times,
Right.
I feel like Jordan's king was ambushed. He didn't know that Trump would be bringing all of the press and would be a long interview for them. So I don't think he had the time to formulate his answers. He did sound like he was kind of shocked in the beginning, at least, and then he was able to at least collect his answers toward the end, and saying that the Arabs will meet and they will have a plan. And frankly, I feel like this is just bluff from Trump. I don't believe that the U.S. is
I agree with you.
interested in getting into Gaza and getting entangled into all of these issues.
I agree with you. I think that this is just Trump's style of shock and awe.
Yeah.
You know how we talk about shock
Like,
and awe when
okay,
we went
I'm
into
gonna
the
do
Middle
this.
East?
We're gonna take over Gaza, and then if you guys
Right.
don't agree, then it's your issue now. And he's
Right.
taking it where Egypt and Jordan will kind of be the owners of solving the issue in Gaza, because if you remember clearly from even the beginning, he was saying, "Oh, we need Hamas to be out, but we need
Right.
the Arabs to take over Gaza."
Right.
So this would be like a second plan that he actually wanted from the beginning, but he's going with, we're going to take Gaza plan. So everybody would say no. And then he would say, okay, what's your solution?
Right. See, I agree with you that Trump says things to start, it's shock and awe. He says things that shock people and get you engaged to argue with him or discuss it. And he wants a discussion. And I think that, if you want to change it, you don't like what he says, you got to push back in a smart way. The first time he was president, the Arab community just attacked him, so much so that he pretty much ignored us. And he went ahead and made all those changes in the Middle East without any influence from the Arab community here in the U.S. or, outside of those three Arab countries, the UAE, Morocco, and Bahrain. They signed those agreements. Fortunately, Saudi Arabia is standing up to him, and they've drawn a line in the sand and said that, we're not going to sign any peace with Israel until the Palestinians have their own state. So I think that's a good, and I think they're going to stick with that. But you're right. I mean,
I think that's actually a good stand for Saudi, which is unusual. Usually Saudi Arabia is quiet. They're behind the scenes. But this time they did put up a release saying, absolutely not, this is not going to happen.
It was outspoken.
Encouraging to see now some Arabs actually have some backbone, at least to say.
Right.
Then they use.
But why? Listen, why do we give King Abdullah, and I'm not criticizing you. I'm just saying, why do we give him a pass? Because, he was pretty forceful when he was in Amman, talking about, we're going to stand up to him. There's no way that we're going to take any refugees, and we're not going to clear out the Gaza. But when he went to that meeting, he was so submissive. I mean, is it because does the U.S. dollar, we give Jordan and Egypt and other countries billions? We buy their support.
Absolutely, and this is something I think those countries really need to think about, because ever since they've been receiving this kind of support, the economy has been going downhill. So it's actually better just to say, we don't need your support. We have to stand up on ourselves and buy weapons from wherever we want, because the American support comes with a lot of strings that you buy weapons from other countries. You can't trade certain things.
Yes.
So, and you have to buy those weapons at a premium.
Yeah, money is the evil in this situation. Money is the evil. The money that Israel pours into Congress, they buy off all these members of the House, the congressmen and the senators.
And see how much Adelson has put in. And
oh yeah, it's just amazing. And the U.S. giving money to people, that with the condition that you don't stand up for what's right. So I understand, King Abdullah, he doesn't want to lose that 1.5 billion. But me, I would rather, when I got out of the military in 1975, after serving during the Vietnam War, I had the opportunity to claim unemployment, where I could go there and get a check, $400 a week, to do nothing, look for a job while I was trying to find it. But I wouldn't do that. I decided, you know what? I don't want to be subservient to anybody. I'm going to go find my own job, and I'm going to work, and I'm going to stand up straight. And whether I make a million or just $20, I want to feel good about what I do. So I wouldn't take a handout from anybody. I did it on my own, and I think that when we try to do it on our own, we do it. So there you go.
I think that, the Arab countries are capable of supporting each other.
They could, yes. We should do a better job of helping each other. Yeah. There used to be, when I was growing up, the word Arab had so much meaning. It was a powerful word. I know that Gamal Abdel Nasser, he wasn't the best leader, but he had one great idea to bring the Arab world together. And it threatened everybody. They were threatened by him, and they did everything they could to stop him. And the Israelis launched a war that, using the media, they blamed on him. But it was really the Israelis that started the war, and even killed 33 American soldiers on the USS Liberty that, amazingly, Americans don't care about. Anyway, Ada, listen, thank you so much for calling. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thank you. We'll be looking for the other visits of the Arab leaders going to D.C., and I hope they go together.
Yes.
And make a stand instead of.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's the best way. They should stand together. I think that's a good idea. That's very smart.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you for the program. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. 248-557-3300. If you want to call in, we got a few more minutes. Believe me, I'm not going to yell at anybody. I'm not an Arab dictator. I'm not an Arab tyrant. This isn't, Hananiahville, where I rule everything with an iron fist. You can call in. You can disagree with me. I don't mind, because we need to engage and we need to talk. This is the only radio program in the country, the only radio show in the country, Monday through Friday, where Arab Americans can talk about issues and share their knowledge and solutions to change things. And you need to appreciate the fact that without this station, you have nothing. You have no place to get factual information. I don't trust the mainstream media. I worked in the media for 50 years, and I know how biased and corrupt they are. They're bought off, and today they're worse than they were when I got into it. They're just horrible. So I'm going to ask you to visit my website at hanania.com, HANANIA.com. I have my columns there. You can reach out to me. I'm happy to give you some ideas. And if you're in the Chicagoland area, remember Sunday at 10 a.m. at Nico's Restaurant, the Arab American Democracy Coalition has their forum and brunch taking place. The tickets are $75. The website is ArabDemocraticClub.com. You can get all the information you want on that event, and I hope I see you there, because I'll be covering it. I'll be participating there at ArabDemocraticClub.com. I'm Ray Hanania. I just want to thank everybody for listening, all the callers, and tell you, just stay active, stay involved, don't be silent. You take it easy. Ray Hanania here at Hanania.com for the U.S. Arab Radio Network, Radio Baladi. We'll talk to you again. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you for listening.